We're rolling. Hang on.
Welcome. Conspiracy junkies, in a world where independent thought has become a rarity, and the majority seem entrapped in a programmed existence, corporate entities led by shadow elites have become hungry for control. We are living in a time where genuine truths are often met with ridicule and dismissed as outlandish conspiracy theories. Those who dare to challenge their malevolent agenda are systematically silenced. However, amidst this pervasive mass delusion, there emerges a courageous figure who is willing to stake his life to defy these reptilian overlords and unveil the concealed realities. That individual is Katillist Jones. So fasten your seatbelts as we embark on a journey that will take us through the rabbit holes of hidden truths and uncomfortable discoveries. I give you the White Rabbit Podcast.
And welcome, fellow truthers and conspiracy junkies, to another episode of White Rabbit. I am your host, Katillist Jones. You know, I've taken a little break, and I'm about to come back, and I'm hitting harder than ever. I have some guests lined up for you guys. It's going to be unbelievable. The type of guest that I'm bringing on is going to... The White Rabbit is making a complete facelift, and I've done this a couple times where I'll take like a month or a 2 break. This time I've taken quite a long break. I'm sure you guys have noticed. I've trickled out a few episodes, but none of them were really serious. And you know, when I want to get serious, but not so serious, but when it's time to really hit the pavement, I like to bring on my boy, Brandon Thomas from Expanding Reality, because he always knocks it out of the park. So ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Thomas from Expanding Reality, how in the fuck are you, my friend?
God, you are so sweet. To answer your question, I'm phenomenal. Thank you so much, dude. This is amazing. I'm grateful that we're hanging out together, dude. It's always great to see you. And I'm proud of you for your hiatus, man. Take that fucking sabbatical, brother. You deserve it. You know, everybody needs that reset. And it's great that you are a living example of people being able to give themselves permission to take a break like that, you know? Outstanding.
I appreciate that. You know, when I was just playing the intro, I was thinking about it. All 3 times that you've been on my show, I've had a completely different intro. So you've been through me, through the journey.
They've all been bangers, and they keep getting better. You know, I was grooving. I was like, God, the low end on that. Great job. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. I actually have like 3, and I'm just going to rotate them, and I'll probably even add more. And here's an announcement for the conspiracy junkies that are still hanging on and riding with me, and welcome new people. I love to have the new people aboard. If this is your first time listening, go ahead and give me a 5-star if you don't mind. That helps me get in the algorithm, and give my boy Brandon Thomas a follow. Before we get into it, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, you can find me at anywhere podcasts are served, as well as YouTube, Rockfin, Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, and Patreon is where all the stuff goes out for free there. You might as well treat that as an ad-free YouTube with better video quality, actually. They governed one of my videos' video quality because of the content. And so they made it like shitty and barely watchable, you know, and it had all these graphs and stuff. A guy named Steve Falconer. Highly recommend that episode. But Patreon's a wonderful way to come hang out with us. We do these hangouts with the insiders, as well as we have all these afterthoughts that we're doing. So highly recommend that. But also expandingrealitypodcast.com. That website will get to not only where the show can be found, but also these journals behind me here. We have a publishing house called Rediginal Publishing. It means ridiculously original, and so it's cool as shit. Anyway, so we have all these journals back here that are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And then we're also doing events. We have an event coming up October 31st through the November 4th out here at our place. We're doing a camping event and hitting a couple state parks. So got a bunch of things going, the show, the publishing, and the events, and we're having a blast, man.
Man, so you started the events, what, like a year and a half ago, maybe?
We started talking about a year ago, and then this first one formulated in Georgia. We did a befriending Bigfoot event where we went out to Georgia and hit 3 different states. We had Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, and just all kinds of cool shit, dude. Went kayaking, went to the Marion Bigfoot Festival. Like I said, hit 3 different amazing states, and just had an incredibly cool time with amazing folks. Went squatch hunting with, you know, Josh Cutchin, who, hang on. This dude, he wrote this book right here. Have you ever seen this? Where the Footprints End? Have you ever seen that cover?
No, but I love it.
Banger. God, this is so fucking cool. You got to have this guy on too. He's amazing. He hung out with us in Georgia because he lives just there, close to where we were. So anyway, got to do that. And Scott and Sheila Granger, they do this professional Bigfoot, not hunting, but go out and hang out with Bigfoot kind of a thing. And we were squatch knocking and all kinds of stuff, dude, on this really remote ass piece of land in the middle of the fucking night, like kids running around. It was amazing. So yeah, we did that, and that kicked it
I hate
off.
to interrupt you, but I gotta know, did you get any knockbacks?
No.
Oh,
No. I'm like
you're a Bigfoot deterrent, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm like a wet blanket for Bigfoot and paranormal phenomena and stuff like that. I think honestly it's mainly deceptive, and I don't know why, but I would just ask it too many questions. I'm the kind of thing that they kick out of the UFO for just being like, why do you do this? And how does that work? And why do you pick up guys for a hybridization program who are fixed and vaccinated, but you can't tell that before you pick them up and go through all the trouble, that kind of thing. And they would, probably just not want to talk to me. So I don't know. I can't also rule out that I've had any contact like that, because allegedly they have such immaculate control over this realm in your consciousness that they can apprehend how you even interact with them. So maybe also, is that weird dude that you met at the store that has that one, interesting eye, and you're like, is that like a third eye blending in, or what's going on with that? And it's that guy may have been, an alien doing his damnedest to project a human hologram into your face. And so who knows, man? It's a wild realm out there, dude.
It very much so is. So, what kind of things do you guys do on these get-togethers, and can just anybody come and join you guys?
Yeah. So what this is it's what we call just more of an exclusive conference. So an intimate conference rather is how I'd like to put it, because you get people like here for the camping event, for instance. So Lester Velez is coming out, who he's the founder of Opus. He took all the MUFON's abduction cases from the 70s because they didn't know what to fucking do with them. He founded Opus, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. I'm an affiliate for them. They take no money. They're just, nonprofit for helping folks out who've had the shit scared out of them. So he'll be out here. Dave Zed will be out here. We're talking to quite a few other folks. People have semi-confirmed, but not. Dr. Doug Matsky will be here. He wrote Deep Reality, co-wrote that with Dr. William A. Tiller, the only guy to ever co-write a book with that world-renowned physicist. So we have those kind of people coming up as well. And really what it is it's us hanging out. There's not going to be any presentations per se, but what it is a massive, amazing conversation with all of us. We're going to be going out to state parks because we're real outdoorsy. So we're going to take, we have our dog and stuff like that. So we'll be going out to a couple of state parks, Dinosaur Valley National Park, which allegedly has dinosaur prints in the riverbed, and you can go see this three-toed, whatever the fuck they are. And then we have Mineral Wells State Park right here. So we've got a lot of outdoor stuff we're going to do. Plus, it's going to be late October in Texas, so it's going to be beautiful weather. So that's the biggest thing there, is just getting together and just having a hangout with all these people who you see on shows that you're just like, oh my God, I wonder what they're like. I wonder how they take their coffee, all that kind of shit. Well, you can come just hang out with us. That's the whole point. There's no like VIP badge to where you have to, come see somebody and then you have to buy their book for you to talk to them and get their autograph real quick. And you don't even get to ask them anything. And then you're hurried off. It's not that at all. It's a come hang out with us for the weekend. Like,
It's
that
an
kind of thing.
Situation, not intimate, but yes.
Yeah. Keep your dick in your pants, that kind of thing, but but it is going to be a lot of fun. And so, so you can just go contact us through the website on that, and we'll be able to help you out with that. And you can see like ticket prices and stuff like that.
That is so awesome, brother. Yeah, I watched a couple of stuff that you were posting about a couple of the events that you had done. Like I believe there was like a cold water swim that.
Oh, that was fucking Grimerica's. Last year we went to the Grimerica's contact at the canyon in Utah. And
the guy that you just had on your show recently was talking about that, and he's doing the same job that you did at that one that you attended to, right?
Yes, Owen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Owen Hunt. Yeah. So he's a comedian, amazing dude. And so yes, he also was out there hanging out with those guys, not at the same event I was at. So we met later, also, but through Darren. Actually, Darren was like, "Hey, you've got to me know," and we connected, and he could not be more right. So we were out there doing that in Utah, and that was Grimerica's event. We got asked to come and hang out, and that was incredible, dude. So we did that, and then Mary and I have been on a couple of trips lately. The only official Expanding Reality Excursions event that we had was in May in Georgia. But in between all of that, Mary and I went to Australia, and then right after Georgia, I went to Colorado. So there's been a bunch of trips like going on in there and stuff like that. So I'm sure you see pictures posted of shit. And you see us running around everywhere, and you're like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. So I did
Yeah.
want to get into your Australia trip because that is so amazing, and I've
Awesome.
been dying to go out there. Now that I have a friend out there, Drew from You're Missing the Point podcast, Drew Messin.
Very
Um,
cool.
I have somebody that I could hang out with if I actually ever do go out there. But I was living vicariously through you, watching your videos, and it seems like you guys were hanging out with like a really, really cool chick that seemed like one of us.
Oh my
And
god, yeah. So this chick Jess, I'm gonna shout her out. Jess, she does macrame or macrame, as some of them call it, which is like weaving like really intricate, really cool things together. She made my mom something which is really beautiful. She stayed up like all night when we were anyway. So she does that, and she's a drum teacher. Like she just teaches drums and does macrame stuff, and she's incredible. And her partner Joel is a wildlife expert who like goes around and looks at wedge-tailed eagles and shit like this. And the whole way that happened, we end up going to Australia. I'll tell you why and all that in a minute. But while we were in Australia, the second we land, we'd been traveling for 27 something hours. We get in a car that's on the other side of the road, and we're exhausted and all that shit. And so we then just take off. And the place we were going, Bendigo, was 2.5 hours north of Melbourne, where we flew into. So we still had a 2-hour drive, right? Well, on that little road thing, I was like, dude, we got to do something. We just sat in an airplane for fucking 15 hours, our second one of the day, right? So let's 16 hours or whatever. I was like, so let's get off and do something cool. Ksenia Moore, who we were over there to see, she had told us of a place called like the Macedon State Park or something like that. And so it was en route on that way. We pulled off. We get out of this fucking car. We're just like ready to stretch our legs, see the wildlife, like gum trees everywhere. It was fucking cool. And we're walking around and stuff. I just hop on Instagram Live. I never do this. I just don't do that. We're over there. I'm delirious as shit. I'm like, hey, we're in Australia. We're walking around. Jess, who's been not only a listener of the show for a long ass time, but also she's a Patreon member. And I didn't know this. We send out invites for people, to come hang out and stuff, but not everybody does. And then whenever people sign up, it's an email. It's not, and it could be, Mom Jamma 23. I don't know who the fuck that is, right? And so unless they like make contact and say, here's who I am, I don't sometimes know. She turns out she was a listener. She's a insider. Said, hey, I live like 2 hours away from where you are. It'd be cool if we could meet up while you're in town or whatever. We ended up connecting with her after the reason why we were there. And on the last day before we flew out the next day, we ended up going on this little road trip with her all over Southern Australia. And it was like 4 or 5 different cities. We went Bendigo and Castlemaine, and then Ballarat. We went to the Eureka Rebellion Museum over there in Ballarat, and it was just fucking awesome, man. And we just did all this incredibly cool shit. The animals were amazing. She took us on this incredibly cool hike. We get to see a kookaburra in the wild, which is wild, as well as a koala, which is incredibly rare, actually. The Australian that I knew who's lived there her entire life has never seen one in the wild, and most Australians haven't. And we're just walking along, and as we're walking about 50 feet up in this fucking gum tree, I just spot him. And there's my wife and Jess were walking in front of us, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And I looked up, and she was like, oh, you fucking legend. And you haven't lived until an Australian calls you a legend. And we see this fucking little chunky monkey sitting up there, and he was gorgeous, man. So it's just fucking cool, man. And my wife and I, that's been on our bucket list anyway. And it was gorgeous where we went. We got to go up to New South Wales. So we went to 2 different states while we were there, and it was just really cool.
That is so amazing. Yeah, I have a friend in Perth. She was actually a co-host of the show, or a constant contributor. She would do like a little 20-minute segment on what was happening in Australia during our lockdowns when I first started out my show. And she actually stopped looking into conspiracies and paying attention to the politics and focused just on painting. And that's all she does is she paints and focuses on her family. And I was like, that's the best thing you can do, because the longer you focus on this stuff, that it tears at you, which is why I'm getting away from politics. And I just want to do the fun side of conspiracy things from now on. If people bring up politics, I know I have my foot on the pulse, or my finger on the pulse, so I can have a conversation with you. But all in all, I don't care anymore. Like,
do you know what MAGA means?
I'm on a different journey.
Do you know what MAGA is? We'll just talk about this and then we'll move on. Do you know what MAGA is? Why you and I are no longer paying attention to it? Here's why, right here. MAGA is the highest order of the Satanic Church. Did you know that?
I did. And
In
when
MAGA.
I found that out, then I started. Well, have you ever heard of Amy Says What the Fuck? She's an
Yes.
amazing researcher.
Yeah.
You ever had her on your show?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so she went on Black Pilled Radio, I believe is the name of the show, and she did a whole breakdown of why Donald Trump is a bad man. And that was when I was heavily into the Q movement and I was on the Trump train. I was a co-host on We the People Radio,
Yeah, I remember that.
interviewing people like Roger Stone and stuff like that. So I was like fully on board with just the right side movement. And then she put that out and she made a bunch of valid points. And I got so upset when I listened to that because I'm like, you're bursting my bubble. This is like something, if I had cognitive dissonance, I would be using it right now. But you're saying things that I can't ignore. And
And it showed you that it challenged a belief that you have an emotional attachment to, which is always important and always valuable. Because, yeah, just like you, a mature you, checked yourself. You're like, hang on, is this what's going on?
yes, so that is exactly what happened. And so I was so mad when that first came out. I reached out to her and I was like, yo, this is bullshit. You can come on White Rabbit and I will debate you on all of this stuff. And that was just speaking out of emotion. And then I started looking into everything that she was talking about. And I was like, wow, I cannot, I can't do this anymore. And so I stepped down from We the People Radio. And even though they made it seem like they made me or they kicked me out, that's not what happened. I jumped off the Trump train and I'm like,
Alchemy. Let's turn the alchemy down. You've
yep,
got this.
I can't be on the Trump train and be on, or I can't not be on the Trump train and be on this show with you guys because I'm gonna mess your show up. And I respect what you guys do and I want you to do good, but you can't have a critic on your show when you guys say everything and I'm like, well, what about this? Well, Donald Trump did this. Well, and and so that's what made me totally realize that it's all a farce, right? And so as much energy as I put into the political arena is half of the energy that it took from me. I would put in this amount of energy and it would double the amount of energy that it withdrew from me and it was draining. And and I'm glad to step away from it because now I can breathe. Now I can be like, you know what? That might be going on, but if I don't pay it any mind, it doesn't take anything away from me. And this and this and this might be true, and this and this and this from politics might affect us. My gas prices might be a little higher, this or that. But at the same time, if I don't focus on it, it doesn't draw from me. And this whole I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of people that know me personally, that listen to the show, know that I went through a really hard time for the past year and a half. I was homeless. I went through a lot of stuff. I finally got my shit back together, and I'm putting out shows again. And this is show number 1, as far as I'm concerned, for my comeback. But what I am saying is, since I have stopped letting that suck energy out of me, I have been such a happier person, no matter what I'm going through in my personal life, just because that is not have a foot down on my back while I'm in a ditch.
Yeah, it allows you to tend your own garden, man. That's it. I always say if somebody's getting pissed off at politics, go look at that drawer in your kitchen with all the batteries and shit in it and go clean that thing out. And then once you're done with that, go take a look at your garage and go look at, all the closets and stuff like that and clean your whole home and then see if you're still upset at what's going on out there, maybe. And it's just an interesting study. Just when you step back and say, "Hang on, maybe this has nothing to do with me, and maybe I am giving and offering a lot of energy to something." And exactly what you said, man. It really comes down to two wolves, right? The love and fear. Which one are you feeding? And it seems that whole arena is based on fear and competition and subjugation and really a bunch of nonsense, in my opinion. And so I just withdrew my energy from it and just put it into the projects I love and started putting out journals that have helped and changed people's lives and publishing stories of other people who couldn't get published anywhere else in a sense. Like we're really doing some really actionable things here, and that's how we're feeding the love wolf, which is really the ultimate. What you want to do is sort of just deflate the other. Now, this has nothing to do with spiritual bypassing of just going, oh well, it'll all work out as far as that goes, because there's a balance here as well. You can't be walked on. Right. It's do no harm, but take no shit. You've really got to be a warrior in a garden out here. not a gardener in a war. So really figure out what you want as far as your priority and just do that. And just, bat the distractions away, like dicks coming at your face, man. Just fucking bat them away. That they just want your attention, and just, you get to choose what you offer it to, which is great.
Yes, I love it. And it is something that, well, it's not something that I've mastered, but it's something that I'm learning, and it's a learning experience because
Always.
there are often times where, it's clickbaity stuff, and even with the guy that I live with, he has a political show. And so he's always like, dude, did you hear it? No, and I don't want to. But you got to watch this. No, I don't really care.
That is not where my energy would be going, my friend.
Right.
That's it.
So, but man, so I just drew a blank. I had a question that I was going to follow that up with, and it seems that it escaped me.
Not about politics. You want to talk about something else? Let's do that. Oh, cutting of the right ear. Do you know what that means?
Oh no.
It's an initiation into the highest priesthood, or the MAGA of the Satanic Church. So whatever you got, all of that's like a thing, right? And so we know this, right? And so what we will do though is just go, okay, well, that theater thing is going on over there. I'm gonna go clean that drawer out with my batteries and do other things, because obviously it's a spectacle and I'm not interested. My energy, is no good there. No, thank you.
That is crazy. So I might have scrolled past something that talked about the whole ear thing and everything, and I'm a conspiracy junkie. So even if it does deal with politics, if there's some sort of a conspiracy involved with it, I'm going to look into it. So that whole, let's just put it in quotations, assassination attempt on Donald Trump caught my attention because there was all kinds of holes in it, and I'm like,
brother.
I'm
But here, can I offer you something here? And here's honestly where I'm at with all this shit, dude. Okay, all these fucking lizard turds, all this like, oh, this is going on, and then scary as shit. Oh, this is happening, and yes, they're wearing masks and they're fake as fuck, and yes, this guy's saying he's in the White House, but the wallpaper's wrong, the lighting's wrong, the crown molding's wrong, there's trucks out front where there shouldn't be, all these things. So like we can see that the narrative, whatever it is obviously full of shit, right? But when, and just if I may, when are we just going to go, so we're just going to stop looking at it, right? And you're at this point, I think you really have withdrawn your energy from it. So rather than like saying, okay, well, all of it's fucked, and oh my God, can you believe? And did you see? Yes, but what you're still doing is feeding that wolf, right? Whether you're able to catch it or not. Now, what I think is occurring at another level is I think all of this shit, whatever this is here to motivate us. So I've stopped calling them lizard turds. I definitely don't call them the elite anymore. I don't call them archons. I call them ass cons. This whole place is, I'm seeing it now so much less serious. I mean, really, because it's all full of shit, dude. It's so fucking full of shit. And when you look at it, you just go, oh, you're full of shit. No, thank you. But rather than looking at it and go, oh my God, you're full of shit, I'm going to take a picture, share it. I'm going to make sure that all these other people know how full of shit you are. But here's the thing is, again, if you look at it, man, look how ridiculous and silly it is, right? We can all see it. How obvious is it? It didn't take any a rocket surgery expert to come in here and go, oh my God, I got to deduct these things. No, it's right out in front of you, right? Now, with that, what do you think is the reason for that? Why would they make it so blatant and obvious? My answer to that is they're motivators. Their job is to present something so shitty and awful and fucking dumb and retarded that you go, no, thank you. I'm going to go do my own thing. And you finally sit down and you go, God, I'm tired of watching reruns. I'm tired of them making the same movies over and over, because that realm can't come up with anything new and creative. They just keep spitting out recopies of shit, and they all suck worse than the one before. So it's like, when are we going to pull our energies from that and put it into our projects? Again, that's why I created the journal. It's like, this is it's a walkthrough process. You're like, it's a participatory thing, or there's just lined, and some are sketchbooks for artists, and we work with other artists, and it's a community effort on that. But what we didn't do.
Can I ask? I'm going to interrupt you right there, because people listening to this right now, you did explain these journals the last time you were on the show, but I might have some listeners that haven't heard that show. Can you tell us what those journals are? Because I think they're fucking amazing. And it has to do with your show specifically.
Yeah. I'm going to finish this point, and then I've got it noted here to come over. But thank you. Yeah, we will absolutely talk about it, dude, because it's a great example of what I'm talking about here. Rather than sitting there breaking apart the psyops and going, holy shit, this is what's going on, and that's what's going on. Now, there are so many wonderful people in our community doing just that. Those are the people willing to take the slings and arrows. Those are the dudes, your T. Snyders, your Whitney Webbs, your Rickies. These guys are out there doing way better research than I ever would, first of all, that I would commit myself to because I'm so disinterested in it. But if you need the resource, it's right there. You have a lot of ways to track this kind of stuff that you don't need to emotionally go in and investigate. Now, of course, if you're going to state claims and start believing in shit, do your research, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is that there are people uncovering things that are being done in obvious ways that you can also uncover on some macro levels. Now, with that, though, what do we do from there? Are you just going to constantly be like, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha to everything? Or do you say maybe like, let's empower those people and really support them, even financially? Go to the people I've just listed's Patreon and sign up for them and throw them $1 a month, something like that. If so many people just did $1 a month for people, it's a world of fucking change. Lift those people up so they can continue to do the research that you do, and you put your skill sets into where they are. Maybe you have an interest in having different kinds of conversations. Maybe you're interested in art or, like on my show, we just talk about everything, right? It's not niche down, and we don't avoid anything, but we just don't find interest in politics. Like the way that we'll do it is just like what we did. Yeah, the right ear MAGA, and then we laugh about it. Oh, the picture couldn't even be taken with the flag from that angle. It's hilarious. And then move on, right? And so it's not an occupation of our time. And because of that, we're able to really create other things. And I think that that's the point of everything that we're talking about here. That thing out there is supposed to look so fucking dumb that you're supposed to go, fuck that. Education is supposed to be shit. So you go, fuck that. I'm going to have some other options or create something else in my community for the kids in my community and my kids, things like this, right? So again, I think that it's dumb on purpose so that you go, all right, man, let's do our own fucking thing. One more to this. In Mark Gober's book, An End to Upside Down Medicine, he has a chapter in there near the end, I think it's the last chapter, about consciousness relating to health. And he said that there was a priest that he interviewed in there who had exorcised like thousands of demons from people and talked to them personally, right? This priest had talked to demons. And he said, why are you doing what you're doing? And the demon said, actually, we fucking hate our job, man. The only reason we do this is so you guys will move forward. And that's our job, is to make you fucking change and make better choices and shit like that. So then really it sort of all comes back to us, right? And if we constantly make those choices, I mean, why wouldn't we expect the same results?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I find myself, when I'm scrolling through and some of those things come up, I will tell myself, wait a minute, you just spent 3 minutes, 3 minutes engulfed in this, and you know damn well that you don't give two shits about it. So what are you doing?
Right. Yeah. But that's a good voice to listen to. And it's a wonderful one to have, man. Not a bunch of people have that. The sentence you just said, massively important, because then it's choice at that point, right? Now, I mean, no one's here telling anybody what to do. We're just saying be aware of the trade-off of energy that you're taking potentially. And so, yeah, if you're going to watch stuff because you've got to be in the know and you've got to make sure to tell people if that's part of your journey it up, dude. You're going to find shit that we don't, and we're very proud of you and happy. But don't feel obligated. And especially if you make it your show's platform, if you want to switch gears or something like that, because that's another thing. A lot of people are like, fuck, man, I'm stuck in this gear because my audience is here expecting me to tell them that frogs are gay. And I can't like lighten up, and have a fun story or play my guitar or something. You know what I mean? And so there's just a balance here, man. But again, you got to recognize the egos in this too, man, and the platforms and that, oh, I've got sponsors. And I just, follow your heart on this kind of shit, people, man. If it feels fucking dumb, I mean, maybe it is. So maybe just do something else. You've got a book in you, you've got music in you, you've got painting in you, like that woman, beautiful. Prime example, by the way. She was in it for long enough, your co-host, in it for long enough and said, you know what? I'm just going to take a break from all this fucking shit and paint. And what she did was she found herself. She was motivated by those things to create. She's a perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about here, dude.
Yes. And through these hard times, I think a lot of, well, at least not a lot, I would say that most creative people and free thinkers will find a different outlet to go to. And it's almost a beautiful thing, right? Like my ex co-host, shout out to Joanne.
Shout out Joanne.
And she's doing great things. She's putting on art shows and all kinds of stuff, man. It's
amazing.
And her skills are incredible too. So I want to ask you about this publishing company that you got. I know I sent somebody your way. I sent Charismic towards you. And
we had a meeting. He is cool as shit, and wanted to shout out before we do my stuff. Tams, did you shout her on?
Yes, I
Oh
did.
my God, love her. Love
I
her
have
so
all
fucking
I have all
much.
those books. He just held up a Level Playing Poem.
Oh,
Yes, those are
love
amazing
her.
books.
Tam, shout out.
She is a wonderful person,
Yes.
and
What were you gonna
and
say, please?
I think it's a great. We were talking about creative outlets, and publishing things. I think is a great creative outlet, and you're providing a platform for people to do that. Would you like to talk about that?
I would love to talk about that, dude. Thank you. We don't really talk about the publishing that much. I'm working on a series of videos that will go through and explain these a little bit better because it's necessary, and I get that. It's been part of the journey. But again, we have 7 journals in print, hardback and paperback. They're both on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in both platforms, or formats, rather. Each of them features a custom art piece from an artist friend of ours. This is Janine Burgess. She's incredible. You know Ben Carroll, the singing bowl guy?
I
He was
don't.
a guitar
I
player
know
for
the.
Raw.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
that's
Okay.
his partner, and she does yoga. She does these incredibly cool paintings and stuff, and she's actually going to be featured in our evening version of the second volume of this. So this is volume 1 of Mindful Expansion. Now, this expansion series covers 3 main things. It covers your relationship with you. It covers writers or list makers or songwriters, anything like that. So it's lined pages. I'll show you. And then also artists. So we featured those. Those are the main things that we're focusing on here, all of which are creative and empowering. And that's really the point. So Ridiginal is the name of our publishing house, and that means ridiculously original. Our motto is to empower and amplify the voices and visions of ridiculously original authors and creators. That's what we're doing. We're in a couple of contracts right now with some amazing creators. We actually just had a meeting before hopping on with you with a new project that we've got coming out. But with this one, like I said, it's a daily Usems journal. When you open this thing up, it's going to offer you. So I drew this as well. So these are all hand-drawn pages. I obviously didn't do the fonts, but I hand drew everything in here. And you're meant to like color this and fill it in and everything. It's meant to be very, user-friendly here. Now, when you open this bad boy up, you've got an intended experience page, which this will show you a miniature breakdown of each daily page. It's a 2-page spread per day. And then this is just the 10 main points that are covered in that. You have a moon tracker, for instance. You have a daily design, 4 questions you ask yourself every day. You have a mantra. You have a reading practice, a gratitude practice, your goals, what you're attracting, what you're releasing, your conversation with self, and you're now and noteworthy. And so all of those things can be covered in there. Now, also within that, though, there's a shitload of little circles and stuff like that. Now, in this system, this is something that I drew and used for about a year before I decided to publish it. This is something that I would draw in a notebook roughly. I mean, this has gone through a couple of different iterations. But I would just draw this every morning and then fill it out in these sections, right? Now, what these little circles represented and meant to me were little nodes, okay? Now, this one in particular, for instance, it's got 3 little circles and then a larger one, right? Now, this little section, okay, all this does to me is every day I wanted to track when I was doing my age. I was 41 at the time, my age in push-ups, my age in sit-ups, and my age in lunges. So I would do 41 push-ups, 41 lunges, and 41 sit-ups every day. And then I would fill that in with a number. And I would want that number to climb as high as possible, because the one day that I took a break from those 3 simple things, that number dropped back down to 0. And I felt like a turd. And so keeping myself accountable in this small way changed shit. Also, I've got a mood tracker on here, an energy tracker. So when you wake up in the morning, you can say, man, I'm really low mood today. Man, I've got a fuckload of energy, but my mood's all fucked off. The moon is doing something here. It's in, it's a full moon. So that maybe is throwing me a little off. The weather, you have a weather tracker on here as well. So this would be your high temp, low temp for the day. And then these are assigned to whatever you want. They're snow, sleet, rain, whatever. Then you have a reading practice down here where you put your number, the book that you're on for the year. And then you're going to do the author, the book title, the author, the chapter you read, the chapter that you read, and the page to, page from, and then how you're enjoying it, as well as a gratitude list. As well as there's something called Set the Tone, which I've got outlined as part of the practice. And basically it's 7 different points. It's located in the front. And what those are is just 7 different things that I found important to alchemize my morning, right? And what that was is it's all about taking that little part of your day and giving it to yourself and choosing you first. Because this is the king eats first, put your mask on first kind of shit. In the morning, grab your day by the balls and say, this is mine and no one else's. And part of that is these 7 points, which would be no phone, right? For the first hour, none whatsoever. Leave it the fuck down. You've got plenty to do in that first hour instead. Water before caffeine every time. If you're going to drink caffeine and shit, good. Chug some water first. Positive self-talk. Start that day off with just, man, you're crushing it. You've made it this far. You're doing the best you can with the information you have at the time, all that. A reading practice. So if you want, while you're taking your shit or something like that, instead of being on the phone, read. Another one would be journaling practice, which is covered right here because you've got it. That checks a box. Walk in nature as well as your physical commitment. So if you're going here and you're doing, my sit-ups, my push-ups, my lunges, boom, that crosses that off, right? Then you get to take another bottom down here. So I had water before coffee. I had no phone, for the first hour. I took a walk in nature. I did my journaling practice, all that. Now, the other thing about this is it's completely customizable. Those are just examples, right? Now, what you can do is do anything you want with this thing. This is a sample layout of all the nodes and how they can be used, okay? Again, just an example. That kind of runs through some possibilities, but if you want, the idea though also is for you to make it whatever you want. So in the back, there's 2 of these. I think 3 in the first one. I think we put 2 in another to save pages, but there's 2 of these schematics. Okay. So you get to go through and actually assign these to be whatever you want. You write in whatever, do it in pencil, do it in whatever. But if you do decide to do it in pen, you've got another one. So it's a key that you can use for whatever you want. And if you don't want to use the moon tracker, but you want to use this as a cycle counter of your own, cool. Fill that in for that and then go over and fill it in the way that you want and refer back to this so you know what this little circle means, right?
So it could be anything you want. You could
Anything you want.
exchange lunges with your mantra. Whatever
Absolutely.
it could be,
No
I
two
love
will ever be alike.
I love this idea, and I love the fact that you took the time to put this together, and how incredibly creative was it of you to actually sit there and put this together, because you're like, this is what's helping me on my journey. Let me go ahead and help others along their journey.
Yeah, I got tired of drawing it every morning, honestly. It took about half an hour to 40 minutes just to do a rough thing. And then I would be like, fuck, now I got to fill it out, right? Or get to fill it out. And I was wanting to do some information. I learned a lot by tracking the moon and my different dispositions. I have a time of the month. I think we all do, even dudes. And mine was new moon. Turns out astrologically, I'm a new moon baby. Didn't find this out I knew for 20 years, I knew that new moons were fucking with my mind for some reason. Turns out later on to find out when I talked to astrologers and stuff that I'm a new moon baby, meaning that new moons are introspective times of the month anyway for everyone. You go within, right? You're not supposed to be all animated and shit. You turn that off, you go within and you get things done like a fucking journal. And that's your power time of the month, but it's got to be alchemized that way. I thought I was fucking going nuts once a month. I thought, why am I such a rude piece of shit? Why do I like cancel things? What's going on? And really though, it's by tracking my moon. Now I write off. If we were doing this during new moon, Bubba, I would have told you we need to do it another time. That's a personal boundary of mine now, based on me being able to track my shit. It has made my life so much smoother. And in so many ways, maybe the weather was doing something, you can look back on this and say, okay, these things were going on and I was feeling this way, or these things were going on and whatever. There's also counters and all kinds of stuff. Like you can track if your addiction smacking, if you're getting rid of a habit, something like that. If you're counting down to a trip, there's all sorts of little counters and things in here as well that you, again, get to customize, assign, change whenever you want, all that stuff. So that's just the mindful expansion. So that's just this one.
It's amazing, brother. And I'm actually going to order one of those from you when we get off of here. I need one of those because there is, when you said that, it kind of blew my mind, because I'm like, wow, it's like once a month I go through 3 days where I don't want to leave my room and see or talk to anyone. I wake up in the morning.
I bet you anything it's new moon.
And it hits me out of nowhere. And I'm like, I don't want to leave my room today.
It's 3 days because it's day before, day after. Now the day before, day after, rather, that's what they call the sphere or the orb. Okay. Now in UFO terms, you would call that the sphere of influence. When you get too close to a UFO, you you get the Oz effect, everything shuts off, no animal noises, your phone stops, compasses spin. That's the sphere of influence. So even though you're not on new moon, you're like, well, it's not new moon this second. Yeah, you're in the sphere of influence. You know what I mean? Which is 3 days, by the way. The whole 3 days thing is interesting.
That is so crazy. So I actually just got pulled into the office at work today, and they recognized my pattern. And they were like, you somehow get sick once a month and you miss 3 days. And granted, I only work 4 days a week, so that's almost the entire week. And
you will find a way to alchemize this. Turn it into your power time of the month. It's very different. Very different.
This was very difficult for me today. And they asked me what was going on. And because I'm getting disciplinary because of my lack of attendance due to missing 3 days a month. And it's almost like clockwork. And I didn't realize this until they pulled up the facts or whatever. And so I had to be honest with them. Like, every time that I've called out sick, I was not physically sick. I was mentally sick. I could not face anyone. I could not leave my room. And I cannot tell you when it happens. It just happens. And I wake up one morning and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. I'm staying here. And I know that's not healthy. And
it's very healthy. It's incredibly healthy because you're recognizing it, not bypassing, not stuffing it down. You're feeling it. You're in the moment and you're doing it. So no. It's very healthy. The only way I'm through, man.
Well, it's not healthy because eventually what I do is I numb it. So whatever means that is. Now, I will not take pharmaceutical drugs. I don't take hard drugs. However, I will medicate myself with alcohol, mostly alcohol, and I'm a weed fanatic. So, I mean, you can't really count that because that's an everyday thing. So alcohol is not an everyday thing, but during those times when I'm feeling super depressed, I feel like the alcohol adds to the depression instead of numbing it. And so, the last couple times I'm like, all right, when I feel this way, I'm just not going to drink. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm not going to drink. I'm going to pretend that I've already had 3 drinks. Therefore, I can't drive to the liquor store to pick up another drink. And it's been easier, but not easy.
I'll tell you what changed this for me. Recognizing what my Mars energy was and how to exude it. So emotion is energy in motion, right? It's just a store of energy that you've got inside of you that has to come out somehow. Do you cry?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's an awesome one. Anytime you feel like crying, fucking do it, dude. Purge that shit out. It's got to go through you. For some reason, we are just conduits for emotion, and shit's got to spill out through you. I'm told it's from your ancestors. I'm told it's from all kinds of shit. But allegedly, there's a never-ending supply of shit that's just going to flow through you that you have got to feel alchemized and still keep going and moving through. One of the things that I found out, and again, my wife has just gotten into astrology because of the dark night of the soul that I feel like I'm emerging from. I'm not confident in saying I'm over, but I feel like I'm kind of on the swing up for sure. With all of this, when you have all that energy in you, yes, it is a shutdown of out there-ness that needs to be in your energy. But what it is it's a reminder that there's energy that you have within you that needs your attention. So what I would recommend is what I did. Do an exercise, do a workout like that, 40 push-ups or whatever. It's not going to get you cut or whatever, but what it will do is discipline the shit out of you, because there were so many days, man, I didn't want to fucking do that, dude. I was like, this is so dumb. Why am I fucking doing it? I don't feel it, but I would do it because that little fucking number in that book, man, I held myself accountable because it's on a piece of paper, And so whenever I got over that and I did that for 21 days, man, that's when I really shifted things. And this is what sounds so silly about when I say, dude, go clean out the batteries in your, go clean out that drawer in your kitchen and it's going to change your life. It fucking will. 41 push-ups or your age and push-ups a day will change your fucking life. It's because you're doing so much more than the push-ups. It's not about the thing. It's never about the thing. So how I envisioned it was just, can you do it first of all, right? Because it sounds simple. Oh, my agent, but because you can break that up. You can do 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 1 there, right? And no problem, and be done with it. There's no excuse why that doesn't occur. The only reason why you wouldn't is because you don't love yourself enough to stick to something. And that's a fascinating one. When you start looking at it in a self-love perspective, that changes everything. So this is what I would recommend, is doing the push-ups. Just start there. Like, don't make all these crazy, weird fucking, I'm going to do this. That's too much. And your nervous system is going to sling back, and then you're going to feel bad for slinging back. But it was designed to fail because of the approach anyway, right? And not failure, just feedback. Okay. So by that feedback metric, before we take that jump, start with push-ups. Do your age, whatever this is, whatever listener, whatever out there, do your age and push-ups or sit-ups. Yeah, no. If you're 90, fucking, you've made it this far. Let's go, bitch. Let's go. You got nothing else going on. What do you got, a job? No. In between fucking your Golden Girls Marathon. Do some push-ups, Gramps.
I love you, Brandon.
But still got air in them lungs. Let's fucking go. But I'd say do it. It honestly changed my life. It sounds so silly and so whatever, but take it as you will. It's such a bigger send off into everything. And really, use this or not. I created it for me, honestly. I just published it so I didn't have to draw it every day. And I went ahead and threw instructionals, and I have some really cool quotes from people, and it's a community project, and so it turned into something really, really cool. So I'm glad I did. But these are for me. That's why I have them. The writing journals and all that kind of stuff. I use all of that shit. I design them, but I use them. And so the whole point of this was to give myself something to learn more about me. And it just so happened to help a shitload of people out. There's people who've had these now for a while that have been working with them. And a buddy of mine, Ryan Cook, he runs a show called The 13 Podcast. I'll shout him out. He has been using his, and he said that on the daily design, there's 4 questions that you ask yourself every day on that. It's who do I want to be today? How do I want to feel today? What do I want to give today? What do I want to receive today? Those 4 questions are just something that you ask yourself. Okay. Now, whenever he would answer them, whenever I would answer those, whenever I was, who do I want to be today? My answer is always the same. Me. That's it. Then it's how do I want to feel today? It's usually like unstoppable, free, respected, powerful, things like that. Right. When it's what do I want to give today? Wisdom, empowerment, joy, love, abundance, things like that, right? What do I want to receive today? Fucking peace of mind, aligned opportunities. These are the things that I wrote in. Ryan, he heard who do I want to be today, and he wrote Batman. And then and then it was how do I want to feel today? Like my parents are alive, and then
Wow.
stuff like that. So he embodied a character and wrote it from that perspective. Now that's how he interpreted it. I didn't. I wrote it to be that person, but he embodies a character and then takes it through and asks the character's perspective of those 4 questions from that powerful position, right? I want to be Superman today. I'm this, I'm the Crow. I'm in a dark mood because it's raining, but I've got this and I'm writing a song. So it's fascinating to see how different people are using these things. And especially, again, whether you use all the nodes, none of the nodes, you want to go through and just write yourself a love note every day. There's still a lot of, you can still draw it and everything. And that's the whole reason also.
I'd imagine you
for the
only
negative
get
space.
good feedback for people that actually do follow this, right?
It's been cool. It's been very cool. Now the videos coming out are going to be a lot more helpful because they're going to be like this. This is what we're doing right now is probably one of the more comprehensive breakdowns I've ever done of this. I haven't made the time to sit here and break all these down, but I've got the graphics and stuff like that. So it's been in the works, but this is I published this I published it on my birthday last year, actually. And my birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks. And I have a volume
so that's
2.
expandingreality.com, right? For
expandingrealitypodcast.com. Yeah. And
okay,
on there, there's going to be a.
Go ahead and scroll down right now, and I'm going to have all of his links right there. So go ahead and give those links a click, and you can follow everything that Brandon is doing. And if you're interested in this book, and I hope you are, because I'm interested in this book, and I'm going to get one myself, go ahead and click that link and tell him that Katillist sent you, just so he knows.
Love it, dude. Thank you. And then one more thing to point out here is if you'll see the lines that separate everything, if you'll see there's 2, well, that's a meditative process that I would fill those in. And another thing is to fill that in with a different color. So I would have like, a light blue would be Monday, a dark blue would be Tuesday, green is Wednesday, red's Thursday, things like this. So you can actually be flipping through your book real quick if you need to see something and go, oh, I know it was on a Friday. It can't be that because I do those in red, right? And so it's another meditative process to sit here and just color this in. While you're on the phone with somebody or do whatever, but the borders again it's meant to be engaging. It's a neurodivergence fucking journal for sure. And the next one's even fucking cooler, dude. I love this one, but the next one is really, I made a very different use of space. So yeah, and in the artist one, we'll just do this real quick and then I'll move on. But in the artist one, it'll show you that we actually have a bunch of different artists that we feature in front of it. And each artist gets a quote from the artists as well as their name. Then you get to find how to find them in their artwork in the back. And you'll recognize Whitney Fox. You know her.
Yes.
She did the cover for the other journal there. And so we have a bunch of incredible, I mean, Lorenz Rama here. And so we do feature other artists ahead of the sketchbook before you go into it. So you can see different art styles and be inspired going into your own work. And so again, it's a community project, and we cannot be more grateful for the people who contribute. And it's just awesome. We're having a great time with it.
If you're gonna have a follow-up to that book, I would love to contribute some of my art to it.
Oh God, yeah. If you got some art, man, let's do it. I've got a third we're publishing now. So submit, because we're a couple weeks out from publish. So actually, if you submit, I can get you in this one. We'll talk about it. I need your name, how you want it seen in print, a link, and your quote, and 3 to 4 pieces. We'll talk.
We'll talk offline.
Thank you. Yes.
Perfect. So what else you got going on, brother?
Dude, that, and then we have this thing coming up on the 31st, which is gonna be a lot of fun out here at the ranch, like I said. And then honestly, it's just been cleaning up stuff. We've lost a lot of trees out here in the drought last year, so I've been working this chainsaw and been outside and just getting my hands in the dirt and pulling up all kinds of. It's just awesome. I love it. You know, I got blisters and shit. We have this thing called cat's claw, which is a very interesting tree that sucks ass. It's just, it rapes your face when you go by it on the mower, and so I've got a bunch of that going on.
Oh,
feels good. But yeah, going well. Kids are doing great, which is our dogs and animals and donkeys and stuff like that. They're all doing great, and we're just steady as she goes, man. Like I said, coming off this dark night, man, that rocked me. But we're moving forward. We're still here.
Yes, you are still here, and
come on.
I got a few questions that I have in the bag here, and before I move on to my main question for you, I want to ask you, because like I know that I don't want to put you on Front Street here, but you battle with emotional things the same way that I do. Not the same way that I do, but you also battle with emotional things.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, when you feel yourself slipping into one of those dark moments where you're like, oh man, I'm going there again. What, if you recognize it in time, what do you do to pull yourself out of that?
Nothing to do. You just ride it, dude. I found that trying to pull myself out of it, I just beat myself up more and hated things more. And then that's when all of the problems around me sort of highlighted themselves. That's when hope vanished. That's when things could get fucked. That's when it was all or nothing. When I attempted to get it gone or argue with it or anything like that, I've learned, you know, I'm doing my best to embody the metaphor of the bison, man. I'm not fully there yet. I'm aware of it. I just got something a couple days ago, man, that just fucking rocked me, dude. And I'm like, what the fuck? It was just so dumb. And it was, it just tanked me for just like hours. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And so there's no, like, I don't feel like I have mastered any sort of enlightenment with this at all. I've got a lot of hindsight with it afterwards, but not a lot of, I don't think, valuable insight as far as what to do to manage in the meantime, you know, because a lot of people say, oh, don't, you know, do whatever. But dude, if I wasn't smoking weed over the past 2 years so heavily, I would have fucking killed myself, man. That's honestly what balanced me out, was just that. And that's just being honest with you. I had a voice in my head that said, kill yourself. You're going to kill yourself today, mockingly, when I woke up for 3 months, over 3 months straight. And had a lot of heavy things happen. Some friends die. Another friend lost his wife at a really young age, that he and I would, you know, send each other a text and go, hey, you want to talk each other out of committing suicide today? So it's just fucking heavy, right? There's no, I don't think, sort of fix all or any sort of, I'd say survive it. That's it. You know, stay the fuck offline. Don't post anything, because it's so temporary and it's nobody's fucking business. You don't owe anyone any obligation for your meltdowns. And honestly, it's a loosh factory for some. And I don't participate in that. I'll talk to you about it afterwards, but I'm going to get my shit straight before I let anybody know what's going on with me or whatever. Now, in the past few years, obviously, I've still put out shows. I've still done things. And so I've been, you know, pretty vocal about the way I felt. I've thrown my tantrums. I've, you know, been vocal about how tough this has been. And I haven't pulled any punches on that, dude. I've had a voice in my head saying, I'm going to fucking kill myself. I'm not gonna, but, you know, I'm living out of spite. But what's that all about? And if I was either too scared to say something about it or not comfortable enough to see it for what it was, then, you know, maybe I'm not benefiting the experience. You know, I mean, the whole point of me going through that was to learn something from it and to hopefully pass on some wisdom to somebody else who's experienced the same or will. And, you know, because this is inevitable elements of this realm. And so, like I said, it's not about yelling at the ocean. It's about figuring out that this is an ocean world and we're surfers, right? And so our job is to figure out how to surf. And so really, when you get pissed at the ocean, you're mad at yourself for your lack of discipline and technique and into figuring out how to ride the waves. And so within that, there's a lot of hubris. There's a lot of like, well, fuck this place. And I don't disagree with you. If we want to talk modus operandi on how we're presented information, on how you're able to interpret information, on the fuck around and find out nature of this realm, then we can bitch about that all day, man. But the bitching about it doesn't change that we're in a fucking huge ocean that swells constantly. We've got a couple of surfboards, but that's it. And so I think that's really our job, is just to ride it out. Now, the bison, why I say that is there's a story about, I don't know how many if you or your listeners have heard this, but the story about the bison is the American bison, whenever a storm is rolling through the plains, all the other animals in the forest and everything run away from it. They fly away, right? The bison is the one that walks straight into it. They charge right into that storm. And the reason is because they know that by running away from it, number one, there's cytokine storm. They're wasting a lot of energy and calories that, they got to go fucking make up for somehow. And then as well, they stay in the storm longer because as it passes over you, you're running with it as it's going that same direction. It's just common sense at that point. Now, if you run into it, you're in it for much longer, much shorter time period, and it goes over you much quicker, right? As well as you have a resolve, man. Who gives a fuck? You're dancing in the rain at that point, right? You know what you're in for. That's intent. So with this, again, this is how you surf, man. It's knowing that storms are present. It's seeing them for what they are and not saying, why is this happening to me? You say, what's the gift here? Where is the benefit for me experiencing this? Who's responsible for me learning my lesson here? And the answer to that's always you. But what that lesson is for you just honestly to calm the fuck down. I think most of this is just take a deep breath and chill out. A lot of the programming and everything out there, you gotta, and why aren't you, and can you believe you're not, and compare. It's bullshit. And so just really just taking a deep breath, calming down, clean out that fucking thing in your kitchen, with the batteries in it, tend your garden, right? That is where the wrench gets thrown in all the other nonsense. And so I don't like I said, I think avoiding it or feeling like you wish it was over, that's gonna perpetuate, right? That's running with the storm. Just stand in that bitch. And
You're
there's
kind of saying some of the things that my therapist. I just got a therapist 3 or 4 weeks ago, a holistic doctor. She's not going to try to prescribe me with medication that's going to dumb me down or anything. She wants to find the root cause of what's going on. And she said sometimes we have to embrace the suck. And I was like, that's the shittiest thing you could say to me right now because you have no idea what I'm feeling. And she was like, you're right. I don't know what you're feeling. But if you embrace this, then you're going to crawl out of it with something to gain from. And I was like, you bitch, you have no idea what I'm going through right now. But what you're saying right now is basically embrace the suck, but you're breaking it down in a way better way than she was able to.
well,
So do you agree with that? Embrace the suck? Is that what I should do when shit sucks? Just embrace it and be like, shit sucks right now, but I'm going to come out of this.
I think you got options, right? Your option isn't that it's going to be over because you snap your fingers. Okay. Now that we've gotten that over with, then look at it like a psychedelic experience, right? So you're in it. Okay. But no matter what you're experiencing, joy or discomfort, there's no off switch for the psychedelic. Like it's going to continue to go no matter what. Now, what you can do is surf. You can change the way that you feel about it. So within this as well, it's definitely alchemy. Now, again, there's spiritual bypassing tiptoe dance that you do with this, meaning that don't accept the unacceptable. Don't sit back and just get fucked and just say, oh, well, it's going to be okay. Because no. There's a resolve here. There's still a constitution to be had, But within that, I would say that it's really just all about what you want to get out of this thing. So just by calming the fuck down, taking a deep breath, and moving forward one step at a time is really all that it takes here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm one of those that thinks that we decided to come here to experience this because we chose to, and we experience all of this, and then we bring our experiences back to source, and then we become one with the source. That's what I truly believe. Now, other people may believe differently. That doesn't mean that I'm not Christian, because I still hold Christian values and everything like that. I'm just not a churchgoer. I have my own beliefs. Um, I don't really know where I was going with this. I'm just explaining how I feel about the things when I'm going through them. And when I'm going through certain things, it's like I can't face the world. I feel like life is ending, or I want life to end. I'm never going to kill myself, so I'm like, why can't I just get in a bad car accident and just have it be over with?
Been there? Oh yeah.
Those are not thoughts that you want to have, especially for somebody like me that's like super super freaking like I'm just ambitious. I always want to do, and I want to do. And then I hold these levels of expectation of myself. And
There
I
it is.
think when I don't meet those levels of expectation is really when shit hits the fan.
Let go of all of it, dude. Let go of all of it. If you have a release schedule, stop. If you have an obligation where you think that your listeners will this, so I will that, stop. Like, fucking don't. Organic this shit. You put out an episode when you want. You do this when you want. Honestly, on your fucking schedule. You owe nobody anything. And you definitely don't owe the realm that exusion of energy for what? And so, dude, it's all about you. And really what this time period is there's so much out there. It's figuring out how to take your power back and not hoard your power to go, oh no, nobody can have my power. That's scarcity. That's that balance, right? That's now you're holding sand, or like that raccoon that's cotton candy gets in the water, right? And he goes, oh, have you ever seen that video?
Yeah.
It's sad but adorable. Anyway, that's it. And so there's a fine balance here between, and again, I'll let you know when I figure out the dance. I know it exists. I haven't figured out how to dance with it. I'm not a great surfer yet. I'm still very much learning. And so this isn't from a place of like I said, like 2 days ago, man, I could you and I could have had a bitch fest about this whole thing. I'm being so mindful about it though, because I know what it's doing. It's taking my energy when I could be creating, or could be asking myself, where's the gift? And just smiling at the thing, yeah, I feel like this. So what? What am I going to do about it? None of my problems change. None of the things are going to be actionable from the state that I'm in now. I shouldn't be talking to anybody right now, right? And so I'm just going to deal with it. And that's honestly the advice, to just sit with it. Don't call friends and bitch. Don't, if you need to vent, right? There's no sort of like stuff it down, and nobody's saying that. What we are saying though is like, be mindful of that. In that state, there's going to be people that take advantage of that you feel that way. And this is where you'll get into circles of commiseration, where people would just not put you down. They'll agree with you of how much your life sucks and want you to continue to talk about it, right? But that's a form of energy vampirism on their part, because they get to sit back and say, go ahead.
That's a part of misery loves company.
Well, but the reason it loves company is because you're miserable too with it, but also it gets to feed off of your misery. It then becomes this shame spiral, and nobody's going to disagree with you from that perspective. Nobody's going to sit there and go, hey guys, let's feel better because it's all going to work out. No, everybody's going to point out the most obvious things that they could bitch about because they're real. They're right in front of you. They're tangible, right? And the other things we talk about, fairly intangible when it comes down to it. They take a lot of work. You may or may not see the results you think. It's usually another lesson rather than a level up, and all this kind of shit. And so, yeah, there's a disheartening element to this realm if you have expectations. Honestly, the best word I can tell you right now is surrender, dude. Just let go. And it's not giving up, okay? This is where we get into the ego's delineation of this and the pride element of, but I'm strong. No. Surrender, dude. This is the difference of the bison walking in the storm and the deer running through it pissed off. You know what I mean? Be that bison. Just think about, embrace the suck, hug the fuck out of it. There's a wonderful story by Prince's road manager, and he talked about Prince, the artist formerly whatever. Was playing great, right? And this is why I'm telling you the story. I know you'd like this the most. Actually, I think this is going to be the one that pings you. You're going to think of this story right here the most. Super Bowl. Okay, Prince is about to go on. Stage manager runs down to Prince below the stage in the middle of the fucking arena and says, Prince, dude, it's starting to rain. Freaking out, right? There's amps everywhere. There's equipment. There's electronics. They have dance moves. The floor's going to be fucking slippery, right? This is what's going on in the mind of the producer. Prince just stops for a second. He looks at the guy and he said, can you make it rain harder?
What?
Exactly.
And then he played Purple Rain, right?
Played it and played the fuck. One of the best performances ever. You guys can go look this up somewhere. It gives me chills thinking about it. But think about that. That is the bison. That is what you do. It's not obviously bitching about the thing because there's obvious things to bitch about. That's the trap. That's why. That's how you know it's a trap, because it's so easy to slip into. It's so easy for everyone not only to get on board with that, but to agree with you and to jump on with that. It's the hard shit. It's the you sitting here going, no, they're not lizard turds out there. They're actually motivators motivating us to change. So I'm just going to do better and they're going to fucking go away. And that parasitic entity is going to die off if I stop feeding it. Those kind of things, man. That's that shit. But whenever you can look at something like that and go, can you make it rain harder? Man, that's what I'm talking about. That's that level, dude.
Man, I wish I could get to that level. To be honest with you.
No. Back it up. You're there. Look forward to embracing that level. You're there. You're already there. All of us have this Prince inside of us right now because we recognize how awesome this is. You at any point This metaphor is scalable. You have rain in your life all the time. When it's raining, it's fucking, sometimes it's pouring. Ask that fucking shit to rain harder. See if life can kick you in the balls harder. Don't bitch about how much it's kicking you in the balls. Be like, is that all you got? Fucking come on, let's see what you really got. And laugh at it, dude. This place is mind-bogglingly silly in a way because it's so tricksterish in that it's very designed for you. And I had a guy named Devin Winter on. Highly recommend the episode. He's an incredibly cool young man. And he talks about what archons actually are. And he talks about this from like a self-taught theoretical physicist. He's 23 years old, just one of these kids, right? And he talks about the archons being an actual filament inside and embedded in the matrix, meaning that the things that are attempting to distract you, they're already here. So source light is coming in through the outside, right? It is filtering through the outer membrane of this brain of this reality, but it's filtering through these, picture them like stained glass windows that are archons, okay? They are distorting the pure energy that is coming in, but it has to be on your soul's narrative, okay? Now that bit of it's very important. This is why, like, you're not just going to be, a limo's not going to pull out inside of your house and you're going to be whisked away to go be an NBA star or something like that, right? It's not on your soul's narrative. But
damn it, I give up right now then. That's what
done?
I was hoping for.
Well, maybe for you. For me, it wouldn't. That was a little personal. But what this means is that those things in your life that you feel are personally attacking you and stuff like that, well, they kind of are. They're kind of this archonic force that's embedded in the matrix. And again, we can bitch whatever, but they're what's generating the waves. And they're the ones that are throwing the waves that knock you specifically off of your groove. You've just got to figure out the groove and learn how to surf it. So whenever you see it from that perspective, yes, we're all being fucked with, but I mean, we're all being fucked with, okay? Don't take it personally. It's just the realm. And for some reason, like you said, we're here. I don't know why, but for some reason we're here and we're doing cool shit. We're tuned to a certain frequency. We have our eyes set in a certain direction. We don't, want to fucking rape kids and murder people and shit. I mean, there are some common things that we can sort of align on. And by that metric, then, this is a realm of fuck around and find out, but of dualistic energies. And so with that, you just sort of, again, surf it, man. Ride that shit. Ask it if it can rain harder. Ask those, scary monsters if they can be scarier, have bigger teeth or something. Be like, come at me, harder, bro. This is bullshit. Because it does feel personal, but it only feels that way. You know what I mean? So you guys have got this. I'm telling you. You've absolutely got this. Everything's being unraveled, and yeah, shit's fucking weird. But you don't have to watch it. You don't have to be affected by it.
I love it. I love everything that you're saying right now, and I can't wait to attempt to put it to work. I'm gonna switch gears on you right here.
Bring that shit.
And you've been on my show before, and I've always bypassed this question, but I have a question that I ask every first timer that comes on my show.
Okay.
And I don't like using the word red pill, because when I first started asking this question, I was like, what was your first red pill moment? I don't like asking that anymore. I like to ask, what was your first oh shit moment? Because we have many, many, many different red pills throughout all of our life.
It's a great point.
That changes what we look at. But what was that one that really sticks out in your mind where you were like, holy shit, this is not what I thought it was?
First time I took acid. First time I took psychedelics, for sure. Because I was 18. I just moved to Houston. I was just out of a small town where we didn't do shit. I didn't even know what weed was until I was 18. And so I moved from a small town in North Texas to Houston, huge, fucking fourth largest city in the nation. And so we end up in a massive school system, right? Like thousands of kids and shit. End up getting exposed to all this cool stuff. My buddy, who I met at the time because we played soccer together, he ended up getting a lawsuit settlement or something by getting hit by a bus or some fucked up shit when he was a kid. Ended up getting all this money, would get hotel rooms and stuff for us to hang out. And he got some acid one time. He was like, hey, man, have you ever done acid? I was like, no, of course not. You know me. And we go sit in his car. We do the acid. They said, here's a liquid. And he goes, here's another one on a sweet tart. Just save it for later. I ended up, of course, taking the drop on the tongue and then automatically taking the sweet tart, because that's just how I fucking roll. So I'm on 2 hits of liquid acid. I am figuring out that life is just absolutely not what I thought it was. And within that experience, that's when things started really melting and augmenting. And the visual world around me was so fucking different. And I got this feeling that we're all one and all those kinds of things. And then like my mom called, and it ended up being what somebody would call a bad trip, where I was like throwing up and puking and crying and all kinds of shit. It was just really bad. But that was the most eye-opening thing for me. One of the earliest eye-opening things for me. And I was 18.
That's crazy. My background just went away, and so I'm okay. It doesn't matter. Whatever. So psychedelics is what did it for you.
Well, it was like everything right there at once too, because it was psychedelics, and then literally a couple of weeks later, I've got a job at Chili's. This guy introduces me to conspiracy theories, like right there at one of my tables. Just
Oh,
I
so it was
never
back to back.
questioned.
It was
Oh, it
just
was
you got backhanded and then slapped.
yeah. And then one of my parents was smacking me around in the house, felt very unsafe, so I left 2 days after graduation. So 18 still, left the house. So I'm now on foot, no car, no nothing. So now I'm homeless. I got my diploma. So 2 days after graduation, this happened. And then at the same exact time, I was like, fuck God, fuck everything. I get handed the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. So I got my first psychedelic experience. Whatever happened in the home, and felt like I couldn't trust anybody, and kicked out, left absolutely on my own, as
How
well
old were you?
as 18, like absolutely 18 on the money when all
So
this
you were
shit
just a
happened.
baby.
Yeah, I was younger. Yeah, absolutely. Just a fucking kid, man. And then, like I said, so yeah, the psychedelic thing, the moving out of the house, the conspiracies, and spirituality or unity consciousness got introduced to me. All four of those things in 1 year. Yeah,
That's crazy.
it
Would
was the
you
most
agree?
pivotal year. 2001, by the way, is when that happened.
Okay,
That's when I
that's
was
crazy.
18.
That's kind of when I got slapped in the face. I would say that the first time I got slapped in the face, I was a junior or a sophomore in high school. And one of my friends said that he didn't believe in God. And that was the first time I'd ever even thought of that concept. I was like, what? I've never heard that. What? And it threw me for a loop. And the same person introduced me to the Anarchy Cookbook. And
Love
I
it.
was
Oh yeah, I
like,
went to high school too. Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was like, wow, there is a whole life that I am so not aware of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and he was like, your parents lied to you about Santa Claus, right? And, it's like,
Not fucking wrong, is he? Well,
so,
and go ahead, please.
so that's the fucked up thing is, right? The people that you're supposed to trust to guide you along this journey and bring you into this journey are the first people that you find out lie to you. And so how can you trust anything about this journey when the people that you're supposed to trust are the ones that are the first ones that stab you in the back?
I think they prepare you perfectly for the journey.
Man, you're right. You're right. Actually, that's a good way to look at it, right? But
Yeah.
it does suck. So
Well, yeah, that's this place, man. I mean, again, if you want to talk modus operandi, that's a whole nother thing. And that's a bitch fest. That's a whirlpool. I mean, there's nothing to do there but bitch, but we can do that. It's
it's a
just there's no
double-edged
solutions found there.
it's a double-edged sword though, right? Because I was like, my parents hurt me by lying to me about this. And then when I found out the truth, like I was hurt. So I was like, I'm never gonna do that to my daughter. And so my daughter from day one, I was like, Santa Claus is bullshit. Everybody at your school is gonna be Santa Claus this, Santa Claus that, just so you know their parents are the ones buying them the gifts. And she got mad at me because she was like, I didn't get to experience that. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh
That's the
shit,
question.
I took that away from you. But
Exactly.
I didn't want to be the first person to lie to you.
But everyone else in her life is gonna fucking be that way. So have you actually done your daughter a disservice by her not allowing to see that you were willing to lie, and her having the same feeling you did for your parents? Now, is that progress, right? But is it progress in a world where that doesn't exist? It's kind of like when we talk about healing and health and all that kind of shit. Like, you get super fucking healthy, right? You can EMF shield yourself, but we live in a world of toxins and EMF all over the fucking place. So, as I'm coughing.
No, you're
And
good.
so you're going to get fucking bombarded by all this shit, but you're going to be too sensitive to be able to function or do anything in it. So what is, you can, I think, terraform yourself too much to an unclean world, but then how do we clean the world and clean ourselves at the same time? Right? Is that even possible? So can you be like, I think you should have a fucking Dr. Pepper every now and then when you want one, or a donut or something like that, because there's a mental component to this as well. If you think about the Jim Fixx guy who died at 68 while jogging, the health nut, he wrote a book about fucking jogging, and he died at 68 while jogging. But then you look at like Milton Berle, who lived to like 109, smoked and drank every day of his life. Like, what's that about? So I think that there's a mental component to this as well. And if you try and put too much like, I've got to do this and I've got to change and I've got to be better and be more aligned and be this and be different than what I am, that's a fucking shitstorm, man. That's a whole different style of unhealthy living, right? So really it's about authenticity. It's about being you unapologetically. Like, what do you like? You know, what are you into? What, and if people don't like that or judge you for that, okay. I mean, fine. You know,
Awesome. You're not my tribe.
well, right. And there's a beautiful tribe out there. We wish them consciousness and we move on, because then you don't, well, fuck them because they don't, because again, that's that fucking rabbit hole, right? There's a graceful element to this. And again, I'll let you know when I figure it out and dance it right. But there is a graceful element to this that I'm aware of. Being aware of it in the moment is what I'd really love to be able to embody. And we're working on that. Luckily, we're never out of, opportunities to practice, right? So yeah, man, it's a heavy realm, dude. So just really, it's just remembering not to take it personally, because this realm's not one that will offer that perspective to you. You have to really embody that, because it's going to come at you personally. And it's going to come at you with synchronicities and things that are very geared to you, because that's that archon element that's being filtered through the realm that has to stay on your soul's narrative, which is why it works so well, right? But being aware of it is how you can transcend it. Do your push-ups every day for 21 days. It'll change your fucking life. And just be aware of it. Like, just do the push-ups, not the sit-ups or lunges if you want.
So were you 18 years old when you had your awakening moment, when you took psychedelics and everything? You were 18 years old, right?
Yeah, I was in high school. I was senior in high school.
Okay, so when you had that oh shit moment, how did you handle that? Was it hard at first, or was it eye-opening to the point where you were like, oh wow, and embraced it? Or how did you deal with it?
I'm a 5-year-old, man. I mean, at heart, I'm a fucking just a little kid, you know? And so I loved it. I had a blast. I thought it was incredible. I ended up, because it was right in Houston. So it's off of 290 and what was that street's name? Stubner Airline, I think, something like that. But anyway, there's a Hotel La Quinta Inn over there right off this major highway. And right next to he got a room at that La Quinta. And right next to that was a huge field. So I was like fucking running around in there. And it's pitch black. It's at night. But there was the highway right there, and there was one of those huge trestle kind of signs that goes above the road that tells you what the highway is and what lanes are to exit and shit like that. And they have the spotlights shining up on the little catwalk. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like
Well,
over a major highway.
I've never been there, that specific
They're over
one,
all
but
major
I know
highways.
exactly what you're talking about, because
I
we have
climbed that
those
thing.
in California and Nevada.
They have them everywhere. Yeah, they have them everywhere. But just that trestle style with the signs up, right? Massive, right? And they go over huge fucking things. I climbed up that fucking thing, tripping my balls off on acid. And I walk all the way out to the middle, like, climb that thing. Those are not as easy as climb as you'd think either, with that truss or whatever. They're just the way that they're built. Anyway, so
I've climbed up them to do I used to be a graffiti artist. So yeah.
There you go. You get it. And so I end up outside on the catwalk in front of the sign, with the light shining up on me, and my feet are dangling, off of this fucking thing, and cars are honking and shit as they're coming underneath. I just see this fucking crackhead up there on the sign. I had a blast, man. It was awesome. I had a lot of whimsy, and it really offered a re-enchantment of magic into the world, which is something I really, really needed. And I think about it often, man. I've done a lot of psychedelics.
That's in the moment, though. So after that moment passed, and you wake up, you're sober, and you retained all that, and you're like, holy shit, everything has changed now.
Yeah, it was very different. Yeah.
How did you deal with that change?
I kept doing acid, and I did more acid. I did a whole lot, actually. I would do 10 strips, and then this was also the guy who introduced me to ecstasy. And I ended up doing so much acid that I figured out that acid by itself was too harsh for me. And I didn't enjoy the come downs, and I liked the visuals, and I liked the thoughts and the philosophies, but I didn't like the darkness. And so I found that by mixing it with ecstasy or MDMA, that I could get a fucking awesome result. That's called candy flipping for the kids out there.
I was just about to say that. That's
I know you were, yeah. And so I would do like fucking a lot, man, like 3 tabs and 10 strips and shit, and just I did a lot.
I wish we had the ecstasy that was available to us.
Oh, in the early 2000s, dude.
It was incredible.
Late 90s.
The first time that I took ecstasy was the legit triple stacked blue dolphins. They were legit ones. And that was my first experience with ecstasy. And apparently that was the best pill that you could have ever gotten. And that was my first experience. And I'm going to tell you, it changed my life. I was like, I want my mom to do this. I want my dad to do this. Like, this changes everything. This changes everything. The entire way that I look at life. It is, it is so much, there's so much love that we're just passing up in this life
Yep.
because we're focused on this, just this rat race that we're thrown
Bullshit,
into.
Mom. You don't know.
This is the only, we are the only species that has to pay to live. You know, we're born on this, well, plane, uh, I won't call it a planet. I'll call it a plane, and we're the only people born on this planet that has to pay to live here. And that doesn't make any sense to me
Fucking
because
dumb.
that is not what our creator intended for us. And we're definitely, there's a definite entity that's taken over that we live in. And I don't want to say we live in hell. That's a cliche. I don't believe that. I believe that we chose to come here, and we chose to come here for one reason or another because there's something that we needed to experience in the life that we're living that we're not aware of. Most of us aren't aware of, that we need to level up on. So we come here to experience this whole thing, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. And we bring that back with us. And we go back to source. And that source can grow from those experiences and we become a bigger person, not as a person. It's hard for me to explain, but this is what I truly feel is just, we are all one. We are all one. And that's why you can see yourself in people. And we don't dislike people and we don't like people based on who they are. We like people and dislike people based on our relationship to how they are towards our mentality.
What do you think God wants to do with all the raping and baby killing and shit like that? Why does God need to know what that feels like over and over and over?
I don't think he needs to know how that feels like. I think that he gave this realm to his arch enemy, and he has so long to do what he needs to do. And it's like a game of chess. I really feel like it's a childish game that they're playing with each other to see who can get more followers. It's like there's only two Instagram accounts, and
That's
who's gonna
gross.
get.
What if I don't want to be on social media? What if I don't want anything to do with that? What if I
uh,
consider that fucking gross?
I consider it gross, and I don't want anything to do with that either.
Yeah, it seems like an unappealing model.
So
Hmm.
So that's when you have to take it inside within yourself, right? And what's funny is not your last episode, but the episode before that, you were talking to a guy about blocking thoughts. And I was like, why didn't you bring up your thought ninja? Because your thought ninja is one of the best things that I've incorporated into my life to be able to deal with things. Your thought ninja is fucking amazing, and you didn't even bring that up in that episode. I was like, wow.
He had his thing going. I didn't want to interject with mine. You know, it was his show. But yes, the Thought Ninja is actually always on my mind. He does great. Taking care of my mental temple up there.
Yes, I love it.
I'm glad
So
you got some good use out of yours too. I thought that was so cool.
I still get good use out of them.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not it's
he's there.
not it's not as prevalent as it used to be because time has passed and I've letting things get to me more than I should have. I've letting thoughts come in that my bouncer should have kicked to the curb, but he was like, you know what? You're going through some shit. Why don't we throw some more shit on you? And I'm like,
He's good at knowing exactly what you need, and he will be there to absolutely help. But you know, the shit you went through was the shit you needed to go through, man. And it's off the list. You're bigger and better for it. You're stronger, and it's important. So he's gonna let those things get in, yeah, because they're necessary.
what's crazy is my show is an hour and a half and we're an hour and 24 minutes in. And I feel like we've only been talking for half an hour. I don't want to end this just yet, but we are getting there. I have doubts on what I'm doing. Um because I feel like the show has gotten bigger than me, even though, like I said, I've lost a lot of viewers because I took a break and whatnot.
Why you
But
say lost? That word implies that it's a loss. Do you consider it a loss?
well, it just sucks when you post something and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get at least this.
Well, but
Like
that's an expectation, right? We talked about that.
right, and it kind of sucks because I never gave
Let it
numbers
go.
any
Don't even
thought.
look at them.
But
I don't even look at mine.
that's probably just because I got great numbers, and I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck about that. I got great numbers.
Well, but that's relative. I could, anybody's got. We could all show each other numbers and shit, right? But like, I would implore you not to make that your metric. Are you enjoying it or not? That's your metric.
Mm, there were times when I wasn't, but when I took breaks so long, I realized that that was what grounded me.
Yeah, yeah. So then just do it for that. Everything else will fall into line. I wouldn't even look at the fucking numbers. Make that your mantra for a month. Because that's gonna be a disciplinary thing for you, right? Because it was such
Holy
a
shit!
consistent
So I
action.
put out an episode and don't look at how many people viewed it, what
Yeah,
countries viewed it.
yeah. I
Really?
know. I know how that goes. Yeah. Just don't. What does it matter? Does
I
it
mean,
benefit you?
yeah. I mean, you're not even
How?
a little bit curious. Well,
No.
I lost 2 sponsors throughout
See?
my hiatus.
Loss. Well,
Okay, 2 sponsors left me.
two unaligned folks moved on because it was just about the money, which means that it's just business and had nothing to do with you, which you can't take that personally anyway. You're welcome to, but you don't have to. It had nothing to do with you, man. Nobody's listening to your show going, "Oh, fuck that guy and what he says." They're just seeing numbers. That's it. And so from that point, then it's simply numbers from that perspective. But is that why you're doing it? Because if that's why you're doing it, all that's ran by bots and stuff. Do you even want to talk about how, if you look at that, does it say listens or downloads?
No, I'm not doing it for that reason. The reason that I'm doing it is because when I was going through my hardest time and I knew that I was going to go through a little bit of time where I was going to be homeless, I wasn't going to be able to put out shows because that's what my life came to. It wasn't about numbers, and I put out a post that was like, I'm going to quit the show. I'm sorry, but I have personal things that I'm going through and I just can't continue doing White Rabbit. And bro, I got hundreds of messages from people
Yeah, I called it.
saying
Yeah.
how I've changed their lives. And I'm like, wow, this is bigger than me. This is so
But
yeah.
those numbers don't reflect in what you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? So to use that as a metric, I'm just saying it's not one that I would find scalable, because also you can't validate the metric. I mean, you're not the one counting it, and you don't know what standard at which it's being judged. And so here, does your thing say downloads or listens, plays?
I have both.
Do you? Are they a
Yeah.
big difference in number?
They are. Well, it's about half are downloads and then 100% is listens.
Okay, got it. So it does show you those two metrics. A lot don't. So mine, whenever I'd look at it, I'd be a little disappointed in the beginning or whatever. And somebody pointed out to me that that's just downloads, and that actually only about 10% of people download the episode at all to listen to it. So really, those numbers, which are based on CPM, which is this whole metric on how they judge advertising, it's counts per mille is what that is. And all that has to do with is how many people listen, so therefore, or how many metric that they can quantify at their advantage, which would be only downloads, not listens. They're not going to show you how many people are actually listening to you, because that's a different metric. You can then, as the content creator, charge more and have a higher CPM per hour, right, per rate. And so within that, they empower themselves to use that metric, which is then psychologically passed on to you. But to see it again, man, it's not real. And especially whenever you're looking at like comments or things like that, 90% of that shit's bots, man. And it's not real. It's a fake thing. And so again, for me, it does not play a role in the show at all. I don't look at numbers, I don't look at comments. That's not why I do it.
But you're not at all curious. You never
None
like
whatsoever.
really?
I looked it up one time because somebody asked for me switching. I was switching host providers, and so somebody I was switching from something to Red Circle, and they were like, "Hey, what do you have?" and whatever. I was like, "I don't know." So I went and I told them the number, and then we got in a meeting, and they took me. But I didn't know before then. I used to, like in the beginning, I used to look at it because I cared, and I cared about that. But I realized that by caring about that, I wasn't doing the show as good as I could. And what I mean by that is I wasn't being as authentic as I wanted to be because I was too concerned that I wasn't getting listens or things like that. So it was only a
That's
few
crazy.
months and I got off of the numbers thing, and I just don't care, dude. I really don't.
I subscribe to your show and I listen to it regularly. And I would say that I've never listened to a show where I've felt that you were questionable about anything that you were talking about.
Oh God. I just like say what I think, man. I honestly, I'm no expert on anything. I don't know. I don't, I
Hey,
just like,
brother.
I think the ideas are cool. I think the conversation's crazy interesting. And this place is wild as fuck. So to just find out what everybody's thinking about it, the experiences with some of these people having with aliens and shit like this, it's just a weird realm to me, man. I just want to know what's going on.
Okay, let's get in. I was going to ask you if the lights are making your hair purple, or if you actually have purple in your hair.
Oh,
Um,
no, it's this light back here. It's a really cool LED light, actually. It changes color. So it's not like a real bright white, right? It's just like a cool, and I have one in that lamp over there. My wife bought them. I was like, this is cool. Thank you. Anyways, so no, my
nice.
hair is not purple.
Shout
It's
out to
just
your wife.
shout out.
Um,
We had our 10-year anniversary.
oh my God, I had a follow-up question. See, this is what happens. This is what happens when you get too frustrated. You have like a big name like Brandon Thomas on
Oh,
your
we're just
show.
buddies, dude. We're just hanging out. What
I
what were we talking about? We were talking about aliens and shit.
Oh, yeah, aliens. That's
Okay.
exactly. Okay. So, I don't believe in aliens as far as they come from outer space because I believe that space is unattainable. I believe that space that they teach us through NASA. Like obviously there's space. There's space between me and you right now, right? There's space between my computer and myself. That's space. So space is real, but outer space, do you believe these aliens come from outer space? Because when I hear extraterrestrial, I hear extra terrain, which means extra land, which means land beyond what we're told.
I am going to bounce an idea off of you here, and I don't think there's a whiteboard on this. I usually like draw or scribble something real quick. I need to find this.
The Matrix looks way better than just my green screen.
I think it looks cool no matter what, and it
I
doesn't
don't.
matter. It's there to see if you
Well,
care.
95% of people listen, not watch anyway. So
Hey, there you go. Yeah, that's how that's honestly how it is as well. I found that out when I was looking at numbers for that thing. I was like, I'll be damned. That's like 16 times what it is on YouTube. So I was like, oh, well, fuck YouTube. Like, fuck any of that.
oh, you never got kicked off of YouTube?
I've got a couple banned, but I just use it as a
Well,
uh,
kudos to you because when I had Dr. Robert Malone on, they were like, nope, you're done. It was a 2.5 hour episode. And when I uploaded it, it took less than 2 hours for them to delete my entire channel. So I was
yeah.
like, damn.
So
So nobody.
how I don't get deleted is because an episode like that I wouldn't put on YouTube. I would put a 5-minute clip saying, "Hey, if you want the full episode because YouTube's a piece of shit, come watch it over here." And that worked really, really well. So you get a bunch of plays on your little clip, and
I
then
was
just move
new in the
on.
game. I was just I
Oh,
was
I
just
know, Bubba, and I've gotten stuff banned, and yeah, I just don't. I don't care.
but now my IP address is blocked on YouTube, so I can never post on YouTube again.
God damn. Okay, they're really
Oh,
serious about it. Okay, can you see this thing that I've got?
yeah, let's go ahead and share screen here.
Oh, is
So
it not doing that?
no, I got you.
Oh, so this. Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this is one of the most fascinating things. This is what's stuck in my crawl lately. This sort of realm depiction that we're talking about. Now, whenever I look at this, I think the cosmic egg, things like this. But what you see here isn't inaccurate or at odds with anything the flat earthers are talking about. Local sun and moon. You have your plane of existence here. The difference here, I think, with this idea would be that there's a black hole or a black sun below our realm here, which would then call into question what's underneath this, right? What's living or present or whatever under here. Now, with this idea, then it would seem that the extraterrestrials in which we're speaking could exist just simply as CTs or crypto-terrestrial, something that exists on the Earth always, which is a lot of people think that they've never been from anywhere else, that they're always from here. The Hopi have the story of the ant people coming out of underground, and then you have stories of Phil Schneider and all kinds of things, right? So crypto-terrestrial, subterranean kinds of things don't also go at odds with this type of a thing, right? Because flat earthers, yes, we can sort of depict this, but this area is sort of still up for grabs. Now, why this is interesting
It
is
can
this is,
coexist, right?
of course, yeah. Well, and maybe this is what archons and ghosts and demons and everything is it's actually, I'll get there. Hang on.
Hang
So
on. So Soundgarden was onto something.
Soundgarden's always onto something. Yeah, fuck, that man was genius, for damn sure. So if you look at this, obviously, you're going to see the Masonic symbolism here, which is what they say really the secret keeping is all about. That yes, we are in an enclosed system. The G doesn't stand for gay, maybe for a couple of them, but for the G stands for Grand Architect. And this really the relationship between the sun, black hole sun, and moon, or the light, lesser light, right? And then you have the North Star as well, or Polaris, which also plays on casting the projection of this realm. Okay. So whenever we're looking at something like this, if we scale this up, now what if this is an infinite number of these? What if this is a stacked number and there's 7 of them and they're chakras and this is inside your body right now? What if this is an egg carton of sorts and really this is a power supply, a power station for somebody's dildo on the other side of whatever this is, and we're just a small little battery inside this dildo, right? With these sentient beings that get fueled and that squeeze out loosh, and it all comes up here to the North Star. All of our suffering, pain, fear, everything that's generated by the beings or the crypto-terrestrials that all live down here that come up and scare the piss out of the energy out of us, and then it's distilled out of the top. You don't know. So whenever I look at things like this is something that is fascinating to me, of course, especially when we're talking about entities and other and all that. So if we think that maybe this is just simply a battery or an energetic system, then it could be that crypto-terrestrials, extraterrestrials, and all live under here or are of this realm, come up here and extrude the energy necessary for the process to consider. Like think of an epoxy, like a 2-part bonding agent, right? These scare the shit out of us. That loosh gets extruded out of here and powers someone's dildo on the other side. Now, if you think about it as well as perhaps the CTs or extraterrestrials, when they say they came from outer space, maybe that is this. Maybe outer space is water. And who knows that to them, they think when they think outer, because then it's about semantics and definitions and doublespeak, right? If outer space is under the water or under the ocean, which a lot of people see these USOs and all of that coming out of, as well as NASA, if you think that they're going anywhere, all their rockets arc, go up and land in the water. So if they are going anywhere with those fucking things, then maybe they're coming out underwater to another realm, which would be considered, again, outer space from someone's perspective. Maybe not yours, but someone's.
It's not in the space you're in. It's out of the space that you're in.
Exactly. Extraterrestrial.
Outer space.
Exactly. Extraterrestrial just means extra land. That's it. Now, this is the land that they tell us about. If it's extra land to us, then that's extra. You know, that's where they're from. Okay. But also think about this. What if it's all scale? And I've really, really thought about this concept over the past few months, especially, but it's been very much on my mind. The idea that things deoculate, shrink, and get larger. There are all sorts of fascinating stories in the UFO phenomena of people being shrunk down or walking onto a UFO that looked like 10 feet on the outside, but when they got inside, it was the size of a gymnasium, like Narnia or something. Now, is this a dimensional thing, or is all dimensionals, all it means is scale, meaning that you shrink or expand up, right? Then we see remnants of giants all over the realm, things like this. But whenever we consider, again, the ET question that you asked and consider the realm model that we're talking about here, which I'm just talking shit. I have no idea. And I'm not married to this idea. I'm just thinking about it a lot lately. Then maybe those crypto-terrestrials or those ETs or whatever that are flying around are technicians on the other side that come here to maintain the power supply in some realm. You know, maybe they shrink themselves in a craft like Inner Space, that movie with Martin Short. They come in here, they fly around, they go down to all the little pieces and parts, which would be the sentient beings causing this issue. You know, maybe a couple of us are too happy and they got to send squads in to scare the piss out of people and jerk them off on a UFO and do some hybrid shit. Who knows? But
Bro,
what I'm
that
saying
was a
is
great movie. that movie with Martin Short and who was
Oh
the other
yeah.
guy? And they injected him into somebody's body.
Yes. And it had Meg Ryan and
Yes,
God damn it, that dude was in so many things too.
he was, and I can see his face.
We know who
It
we're
doesn't
talking
matter.
about. Great movie though.
Doesn't matter. Great
So what if
movie.
it's that?
If you guys haven't seen that movie, go watch that movie, because I think that movies give us a little bit of intuition on what is real and what is not. And that is a great example of one of those movies.
And it could be exactly making my point here, meaning that all this is scale and it's got nothing to do with really like out there at the same size as you are now. That's I mean, maybe, but I think the more interesting idea would be that everything's either right here or there's nowhere else to go. It's just the size, right? So if you look at things on a microscopic level, that's actually what the biblical angels look like. So did somebody shrink down and see Ezekiel's wheel, or did Ezekiel's wheel oculate up? And then that's how it was presented at such a scale. You think also about these mantis beings, right? These praying mantis type beings or whatever that people see on spaceships and shit. What if the motherfuckers just shrank the dude to mantis size, and that's just what happened? So again, I think scale is very interesting when we start considering realm concepts. I mean, at the core, this place could all be just a fucking hologram, and it doesn't matter, any of these spatial concepts that we're talking about. I think what conversations like this really offer is an opportunity to critically think and just sort of look at other models, because then you can't just so easily rule out, you're the predetermined one, right? Because if you've got an alternative perspective that's unfalsifiable, but yet maybe still unprovable, then that makes the one you're doing unprovable, because you have a comparative analysis that must be done, right?
Right.
So it just calls into question the whole thing by giving us at least another option, which we have many options.
I love it. I love it, brother. Hey, man, is there anyone or anything that you want to tell my conspiracy junkies that listen to the show before we jump off of here?
Go easy on the conspiracies for a while. Tell you what, take a fucking break. Do your push-ups. Do something around your house that you've been putting off. Maybe something good for yourself, something like that. And spend your time just a little bit differently. Every time you think to pick up the phone to check on something, just catch yourself and choose to do something differently for just a little bit, and see how your life changes. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be miserable, and you're like, oh, I have to know what's going on. I'm paranoid without knowing. But I think that weaning yourself off of the dependency for um, I think, because being aware isn't even really the word for it, right? Because all you're aware of is what they want you to feel, think, and know and
At this
respond to.
at this point, it's just a dopamine hit. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, that. And so maybe swap it out, right? And so again, write a book. If you want to write your book, actually reach out to me. There's many opportunities for children's books. We know a lot of different artists that don't write, that are looking forward to writers that don't art. So if there's some combinations in there we could facilitate, do something like that instead.
if you're an author and you write a book and it's a dope book, I would love to do the graphics for your book. I would love to do the cover for your book. So hit me up.
There you go.
And I got somebody that's going to publish it right here. And we got somebody we can use it as an example. Charismatic and Level Playing Poem hit me up. They were like, hey, we're combining our forces. And Level Playing Poem already had somebody that published her shit. But I was like, hey, have you guys ever talked to Brandon Thomas? And boom.
Well, I love it because Tam was already a listener and a fan, and she was great to get to connect with. We actually just spoke on the phone a couple days ago, actually. After I saw her on your show, I called her. I was just like, oh my God, you're amazing.
Nice.
So yes, absolutely adore them. And yeah, give us a call. We'll have a meeting there. Just shoot us an email, rediginalpublishing@gmail.com.
That's awesome, brother. What can we expect from Expanding Reality in the coming?
Next is 300. So episode 300 is up next. It's a big one. And then, we've been doing these hangouts and the afterthoughts and things like that. The hangouts are really cool, man. Those have been fun, like 2-hour live hangs with everybody, all the members that want to show up, and a few other folks. And we usually have a special guest, but we're doing Astrology and You series with Emily Trinkus, and she's pulling everybody's charts. And it's just been really, really cool. So Next on the show is episode 300, and then we'll just keep moving forward, dude. You know,
Is there any way that I can get you? I can convince you to come to the Sierra Nevadas within the next couple months and camp out at Pyramid Lake with legit bat and some cool ass motherfuckers and try to find Bigfoot
I'm not
or
gonna say no. This year
water
just kind of
babies?
sucks, man. This year is so packed out. This year, my percentage is a lot lower than it would be for next year. But it sounds fucking amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing.
Well, let's say we go there this year. You don't attend. We find some cool ass shit that's worth putting out. Would you be willing to come next year if I make this like an annual thing?
Yeah, and it's just about timing, man. Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah, the rest of our year is just spoken the fuck for.
All right, man. I'm gonna pump fist to you. If you come to one of my events, I promise you I will come to one of yours.
If you want freaky woo woo though, you can't have me there. I seem to be like a repellent for it. So if you guys are on the hunt for some freaky woo weird shit, it's just probably not gonna happen with me there. You'd be better off without me there.
Okay, well in the winter time this year, I'm planning a snowboard trip. I'm gonna do like a whole I actually have a couple friends that do what is that called when you dang it not Uber when you get a house
Oh,
for
Airbnb?
Airbnb.
Yeah.
So this winter, I'm planning on doing like Airbnb with like 3 or 4 houses next to each other and
Nice.
getting a group of us together and going on a skiing and snowboarding couple days in Tahoe
Dude, so cool. Hell yeah.
and just letting all the conspiracies go, letting all the woo-woo stuff go and just hang out, have fun, snowboard, maybe eat some good food, drink some beers, play some board game. I don't care what it is, man. Go outside, look at the constellations. Let's do it.
Just hanging out, dude. Just get amongst them, you know? And then that's the thing, you know, we're all planted. You grow where you're planted, man, but none of us were really planted near each other, right? We're not generally in the same cities. We're, you know, zooms away from one another, but to get everybody rounded up and together is the whole point. And that's it. Get it out from behind the screens, get amongst them, as they say.
I will tell you this, bro. Like I was friends with Deplorable Janet for so long. And then when I actually went out to Tennessee and we hung out, it was like, you're my sister.
Yeah,
Like
it's so different. It's so different in person.
I've known you forever. It's like online, yes, we have that connection and everything, but when I saw you in person, it was just like and we hugged each other, it was like, you're my sister.
Dude, this is that biofield resonance shit, you know? And it's 6 feet, by the way, is where your biofield extends. And so that's why you want people in it. Or if you're a lizard turd, you want people out of it, right? So it's interesting whenever you get together with people like in real physical life that it's so different, man. The energies are just so cool. And there's something to us all now coming together. I think there's little energetic pockets sort of spread out everywhere. And whenever you condense and you know you get into one area, magic happens. It really does.
I hate to sound cliche, but do you think that there is a great awakening happening?
I mean, that's what it would be referred to, right? Because it seems
It's so
that
cliche, right?
well, it is, but it's not. I mean, it's because what else do you want to call it? You know what I mean? I mean, the Great Awakening. I mean, what's so great about it, right? I could see it being greater. Like I could see it being smoother and easier. I mean, great's subjective. So, I mean, that's the only part I guess that I'd take umbrage with, but I'd say it's a grand awakening, right? Which again is subjective, but it is sort of a larger scale questioning of reality, like never before. And it's running in a lot of interesting directions, but I think really just sort of taking a deep breath and not taking this shit personally and just doing your best to be this lighthouse for people to that are freaking out around you that they can look to you and go, oh, okay, you know, maybe I can just kind of calm down a little bit. It's sort of like whenever a kid falls or something. You have a kid, I don't, but whenever like a kid falls, you have that 1 second, right, where you can either freak out and run over there and go, oh my God, are you okay? Or you can laugh and you can be like, oh, gnarly wreck, dude. Oh yeah, that's part of it. And this is see, there's an alchemical process in there. And with all this shit shaking up and things getting so wild and all these people seeing how crazy this thing is getting with all the masks. Again, or people wearing like fake Biden masks and clones showing up everywhere and rituals and stuff. And people are just, I mean, look, the Olympics and stuff, these poor people, who haven't questioned this at all are starting to look at their reality fall apart around them. And it's, I think, our job to really kind of hold some grace and to be kind through it, man. The kindness is really what I think needs to be the most paramount right now, is just be kind, be good to each other.
If you have a conspiracy theorist friend, I urge you to get closer with them, because they know a lot and they're going to be able to guide you through the hard shit that's about to face you right now.
Well, we're at least going to be able to tell you that you're not alone and that we're all in the shit, and to really not pay attention to or see it as shit is ultimately the goal, right? I think what we're looking forward to here is just peace and peace of mind, right? And aligned opportunities and these types of things. And so you can just cultivate that, and whenever we sit here and say, oh, they're doing that and this is that way, you're not wrong. It's just that, now, what does that mean for you, right? What does that mean for the plans that we have and the things that we want to do and the goals that we have? Like, we just do other things. You just set it and do it your way. If something hadn't been created yet, create it. That's this time. Honestly, it's just, we're not using their shit anymore. We're pulling out of the infrastructure. Hollywood's going down like crazy. I mean, all of this is just so silly. It's so silly. And if it was ever real at all, and so that's another thing. I mean, you can't guarantee that any of that's actually happening at all. I mean, it could just be a Max Headroom AI type of thing playing on a screen that you have no personal contact to. You know what I mean? So a lot of emotional investments being put into a lot of presuppositions. So watch out for those presuppositions. They're a trap every damn time.
Brandon Thomas, where the fuck can people find you?
Bro, you can find me fucking right here whenever you want, by the way. And thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome. And thank you to you listeners. They all know how wonderful you are. Send this wonderful man a message and tell him how beautiful he is. Smack him on the ass from me whenever you see him. And you guys can find me, though, on expandingrealitypodcast.com or anywhere podcasts are served. Thank you again, good sir. This is fucking dope.
You're amazing. Should I end this episode with the high res outro that, you know who high res is?
Yes. I like
He's
his
a rap-
shit.
Okay.
Let's see the
Maybe
high
we'll
res
end it
one.
on- So I got high res, or I'm going to announce this right now. I'm going to release a White Rabbit album that is completely done by AI. However, I've mastered AI and I manipulated it to say exactly what I want to say in the type of music that I want it to be in. And so we can either end this in my boy High Res.
Now I want that one. Which one are you more excited to show me?
Well, I've been
'Cause I
ending
like
my
high
show
res
for the
stuff,
past.
but
I've been ending my show for the past year with High Res because he gave me this song and said you can end your show with this song. And
Yeah.
just the kudos, like I love White Rabbit from High Res and use my song is amazing. But I've been playing this all the time. So why don't we go? I don't have a video for this. It's just going to be music.
Okay.
But this is some shit that I made with AI, and there is going to be a whole album, and that is going to be available on the 1st of next month, which I believe is in 3 days.
Like fucking 3 days, dude. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How
So
cool.
this is one song here. So we're not gonna lose face with each other because there's no video. It's just music. So
Okay.
here we go. Here we go. Hey, and thank you, Brandon Thomas. You've always been amazing. Every time you come on my show, everybody go check out Expanding Reality. I got the show links right down. So just scroll down, click on those links. You'll find everything Expanding Reality. And he's an amazing person. And I hope you go follow him. And we're gonna end this with the White Rabbit anthem. Here we go.
And a queef.
Katillist Jones dive deep. Conspiracies never passed. Flat clones on the rise. Celebrities in disguise. Truth's a puzzle piece, open your eyes. Make your split see the code. Truth seekers hit the road. Red pill, blue pill, what's your goal? Katillist Jones on the truth patrol. Locked up secrets, where's the key? Question all, break reality. Follow the white rabbit, unlock the hidden doors. Katillist Jones gives you more. Truth unleashed, mind blown for sure. White Rabbit Podcast, reveal what's in store. Government secrets, lies unfold. Whisper truth, ring so bold. Flat earth theories round so surreal. In the shadows ghostly sealed. Katillist, Jonesy code the real. Media's a puppet on a string. Truth hidden, no one's king. Break free from the chains, unmask the ring. White rabbit run, let the truth sing. Follow the white rabbit, unlock the hidden doors. Katillist Jones gives you more. Truth unleashed, mind blown for sure. White Rabbit Podcast, reveal what's in store. Media's a puppet on a string. Truth hidden, no one's king. Break free from the chains, unmask the ring. White rabbit run, let the truth sing. Follow the white rabbit, unlock the hidden doors. Katillist Jones gives you more. Truth unleashed, mind blown for sure. White Rabbit Podcast, reveal what's in store. Reveal what's in store.
Boom. So there we go. That's just one song. I have 30 something songs, but I'm going to condense them
shit.
down. I'm going to condense them down to about 16 songs, and they are all truther songs. And I got songs about Bigfoot, UFOs. I mean, everything you could possibly think of. It's incredible. And so that is going to be available on my Patreon. If you're a subscriber to my Patreon, you will get that for free. If you're not a subscriber of my Patreon, that will be available to you. And I will let you know how. Anyways, Brandon Thomas, dude, you're fucking amazing. What'd you think of that AI song that I created?
That was honestly really fucking cool. I'm like, well, shit. Yeah, I can see how now that would be like a #1 chart hit with an AI artist, you know?
So everybody's like, AI is the devil, AI is the devil, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, why don't we just add that as another tool on our tool belt as something to use with our arsenal?
You got like Ben Tejada Ingram. I know Isaac Lizelle, who makes Organized, doing this as well. Those are buddies. They were teaching AI how to meditate, become self-aware, and then how to remote view
Through AI.
through AI.
Bro,
So they were
I'm gonna
teaching
have
it
to
how to
have you back
meditate
on
and
here to
be,
talk to me about that.
dude. Yeah. Well, I'll get you connected with those guys. They'll come on and talk to you about it. It's fascinating. They've got whole scripts of shit that's been sent to them through this thing. It's fascinating.
I love it, brother. Before we leave here, are you looking for like new authors for yeah?
We'll be taking on more projects next year. So, like I said, this year for us is really booked up. I know we're almost only in September here, but we're fucking spent for the rest of the year with the things that we have committed now. But next year, absolutely, yes. Please reach out to us, rediginalpublishing@gmail.com. Yeah.
Okay, so you can scroll down, click that. Also scroll down and click on everything expanding reality. Those links are right there. Also, please give me a 5-star because
5
I've
only.
been out of the loop for a while, and so I'm not in the algorithm anymore. So if you hit that 5-star, that'll throw me back in the algorithm. I would appreciate that. And also, go give my boy Brandon Thomas a follow because he is one of those people that you will not regret following. You're gonna like listen to a couple of his episodes and you're gonna like, I want more. So you're gonna track his back catalog, but then you want to know what he's doing right now because it is so awesome. I love everything that you do, Brandon, and thank you once again for blessing White Rabbit Podcast.
Beyond grateful, brother. Thank you.
All right, man. Keep digging down those rabbit holes.
Mm.